Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is the Neighborhood Watch on your hometown station, brought to you by All-American Bail Bonds. You can listen to us at hometownstation.com or on our free KHTS app. Go download the app today. And we're here with Shirley Miller, the PIO for the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Station. And also we have Deputy Duxbury joining us as well. He's the Stevenson Ranch Zone Leader. And an incident that happened, actually, Jessica, will you explain a little bit about some background about this next story we're going to talk about, which, by the way, we failed to mention this, but every story we talk about here, you can go to hometownstation.com and read the full stories, all at hometownstation.com. You can sign up for our award-winning email alerts as well, and you get these sent right to your inbox. But Jessica, there was a 2-year-old girl, but I want you to explain a little bit of the background, and actually we're going to shift over to Shirley, but go ahead.
All right. Well, there was this couple and their 2 kids. Their kids were 2 and 4, I believe, and they were at this family birthday party up in Valencia, or Castaic, and over the course of the event, people started leaving the pool area, and this little 2-year-old girl just kind of snuck into this locked, gated pool area, and her father came outside and heard people screaming, "Oh my gosh, there's a little girl in the pool, she's drowning." The dad hopped over this 10-foot fence and pulled his daughter out of the pool, and then the sheriff's deputies got on scene. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Shirley?
Sure. 2 of the Santa Clarita Sheriff Station deputies that arrived first at the scene was Deputy Schaefer and Deputy Godecki. And when they arrived at the scene, as you can imagine, there was a lot of chaos going on, people panicking, and the little 2-year-old, she was spread out on the sidewalk. And so Deputy Schaefer, she ran up there and she immediately rolled the child to its side to let some of the fluids escape. The Parks Bureau deputies, they were showed up shortly after, and they helped assist in giving the little girl rescue breaths while Deputy Schaefer continued to take the child's vital signs. And then the fire department came, and just with the collaboration of these other agencies and with Deputy Schaefer taking such quick action, that's what's attributed to saving this little girl's life. Because, as you know, it just takes seconds for things to go the other way if it's not done. And Deputy Schaefer, she was a EMT before she joined us at Santa Clarita Station, or with the Los Angeles Sheriff Departments. So she also had that background too, which she knew exactly what to do.
That's a fantastic story. And that's one of those stories that you love to hear because there's so much negativity with law enforcement in general, and we've had 2 now in the last couple months here of just going above and beyond the stuff that you guys really do, Dux, every day. That really goes, what's the law of appreciation? Don't expect any, right?
Right.
But this is one of those things where it's a great thing, and also a really scary thing because the last funeral I went to was for a 2-year-old boy who had fallen into a pool and died.
So sad.
And we obviously that's something you want to avoid absolutely. And so, do you guys have some tips maybe on making sure that stuff like this doesn't happen?
Well, I think the best tip, especially when you have a large group and a large party and a pool is involved, I think the best thing, safest thing you can do is make sure you've designated one person to watch the children individually. So that's one person knows where that child is at all times. I love baby gates, okay? And if you can give them all a room, in the house where they can play when they're not, put a little baby gate in and make sure somebody's there watching those kids, that's the best thing you do. You need accountability.
Right. And also distraction is like the number one reason, too, that contributes to some of the drowning deaths that we've unfortunately seen. And sometimes it's as simple as the doorbell rings at the house. Kids in the pool, you just step away for a moment, or maybe you get a text message and you step inside to text back. It just is just the littlest, smallest thing. And that's why a lot of parents think that nothing like this is ever going to happen to them.
And it's one of those things. My in-laws have a pool, and there's 4 grandkids total, and there's a lot more adults at this point in our lives, and so it's one of those things where you mentioned distraction. Even at a big party, this was a big party that they were at. This was a 2-year-old birthday party, and so there was, even with all those people, this girl still managed to fall into the pool, and you have family talking to each other. The little kid walks over to the pool, falls in, and you don't hear it. That's the thing about drowning too, is they don't make a sound.
Yeah, drown without a sound. That was the campaign that the fire department had, and in this particular instance, perhaps there was a sense of false security because it was a locked, gated pool, and somehow, some way, that it was open just a little bit for her to get through.
And that's what you said is have someone designated to it and assume everything is not going to work. Right. Assume that the locked door is going to get unlocked. Assume that the gate around the pool is going to fall down or something. Just assume that everything is not going to work, and you can prevent stuff like this. So, but that's how you prevent it. But we also want to commend was it Deputy Schaefer and Godecki for just getting quickly on the scene and doing work with and Dux, maybe you could talk a little bit about this. Is how it's probably really hard to, in the moment, decipher and just react. That's what you guys have to do,
right?
And you guys go through training to make sure that when you do react, you do it correctly, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we get all kinds of first aid training and just training on all kinds of things. Yeah. So I don't know if we mentioned it, but the story did have a very happy ending. She was released from the hospital, and they say she looks like she's going to be fine. No brain damage or anything.
That's amazing.
So that's fantastic. Yep. Fantastic news. You can read that full story again at hometownstation.com. Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station deputies, they save a 2-year-old from drowning. Go check that story out at hometownstation.com. Quick break now. Neighborhood Watch on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, brought to you by All American Bail Bonds. We'll be right back after this. Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is the Neighborhood Watch on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, brought to you by All American Bail Bonds. Go download the free KHTS app by going to your Google Play and your App Store. Search KHTS. We're streaming live at Hometown Station, worldwide at hometownstation.com. Deputy Duxbury. We also have Shirley Miller, the Public Information Officer, joining us here at the KHTS studios, talking community outreach and, the way the Sheriff's Department gets involved with the community and crime prevention. And speaking of crime, last week there was a high-speed chase. Now, this is something that consumers love to turn on their TV and see on television, but actually not a good thing, right? But it started. Jessica, can you explain a little bit about it started in Boyle Heights? Is that or it ended in Boyle Heights?
It started up here in Valencia and on the I-5, but sheriff's deputies were helping out with trying to stop this person, and then the person got on the highway, and CHP ended up having to get involved. The person drove all the way to Boyle Heights at about 80 miles an hour, and it was a big box truck, it kind of like the moving trucks that you see, and I was watching it, and the guy was just weaving through traffic, and I didn't think a truck that big could do that. But I want to kind of talk about speed limits and why we have them in place and what is the importance of having speed limits like that. Because that guy was going, 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. Deputy, can you kind of tell me a little bit about the importance of speed limits and kind of why we have them? Anytime
a road is built, they bring out these evaluators that look at these roads, and based on the grade and the curves and the visibility and all that kind of stuff, they'll rate it at what they think the speed limit should be. And then the posted speed limit is usually just slightly under that. And speed limits can actually change depending on they reevaluate these roads, I believe, once a year, but don't quote me on that, even though I just said it on the radio. They do reevaluations of the roads occasionally, and depending on, like increased population in an area, increased traffic, then they might have to adjust a speed limit based on that. So, the speed limits are there for public safety, for the safety of people on the streets, driving and pedestrians.
And the Board of Supervisors actually just approved an agenda item that changed some speed limits in the unincorporated parts of Santa Clarita, some Saugus areas, Stevenson Ranch, and Castaic areas. Some of the speed limits were raised and some of them were lowered. So you can go ahead and check those new speed limits out on hometownstation.com. We have a couple stories about it. And again, what can potentially happen if you're out on patrol and you see someone going 80 miles an hour in a 60 mile an hour zone? What do you do?
Well, you can bet I'm probably going to pull this person over and talk to them and probably write them a ticket that's going to cost them a lot of money and put points on their driving record and, have their insurance go up and all that kind of thing. But, forget about all the legal stuff and the fines. Do you really want to be the one that hit a pedestrian or caused an accident and hurt somebody because you were exceeding a speed limit? It's really, speed limits are too easy to obey, and they're there for a reason to keep you safe. And the aftermath of not obeying those speed limits can be pretty tragic sometimes.
And there's moments where if you're going significantly faster, and like you said, they come and they look at the grades, they look at the curves and stuff in the road. There's a reason that they are what they are.
Exactly.
Because it's very easy in those areas to have an accident or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's speeding, of course, is a thing. What about going too slow? How often do you see that? Very often?
Once in a great while, not too often.
Okay.
But
You need to go to Florida, where I'm originally from.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But there are vehicle codes for impeding traffic. So
Okay.
if you are driving excessive, some you don't see it in California so much, maybe up north more in some of the farmlands, but there are minimum speed limits on certain streets, and this basically keeps like farm equipment and that type of thing off these roads so that they're not going so slow and causing traffic problems. But throughout our city, yes, if you're driving exceedingly slow, 10, 15 miles below the posted speed limits, you're actually causing more problems by people, who are coming up on you too fast, and they might be going the speed limit, coming up on you really fast. They got to get around you. Maybe you're that guy going 10, 15 miles an hour in the center lane, and people are, going around you.
Occasionally I see people going slow like that, and then when I come up along the side of them, they're texting.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That was my
Very
next
bad.
question.
There you go.
How much of a problem is that becoming?
Yeah, I remember when they first put the law in about no more cell phones in use, and I think it scared people for about 2 weeks. And then they were just right back to it again. And
that's so dangerous. I mean, there's a lot of safety campaigns and awareness going on about the dangers of texting when you're driving, and with all of the social media apps that people have on their phone.
the example that I heard, the average person when they are texting takes their eyes off the road for about 10 seconds. So if anybody wants this challenge, does it seem logical to you to just close your eyes for 10 seconds while you're driving and then reopen them? I think most people would say that's insane. That's the average time someone has their eyes off the road when they're texting.
Yeah,
When I was
texting can
in
wait.
high school, they told us if you send a text message, even just a short text message, you could be traveling the length of a football field without looking at the road.
Yeah.
If you're going 45 miles an hour, and you're looking down for about 10 seconds, that could be the length of a football
And this
field.
is why I ride motorcycles. You can't text while you ride, so it's just safer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait a second.
Like motorcycles are safer. That's a whole other subject.
But it's one thing. I mean, they're both very dangerous, but there are hands-free ways of talking on the phone and stuff like that. But there's no real hands-free way to text. There sort of is, but
Talk to text where there's autocorrect.
yeah, and it's kind of weird. Okay, do you suggest if somebody really needs to text, even though I don't know, in my mind, texting seems less important than making a phone call, but if somebody needs to text, it's perfectly legal to pull over to the side of the road as long as there's room to do it
in a legal, safe way.
Yeah.
Pull over and do your texting then, okay? And even phone calls, I don't recommend people talking on the phone while they drive, even if it's hands-free, because it's a distraction.
Yeah.
You're driving a 2-ton bullet down the streets. You really need to just be paying attention to what you're doing and not messing around with anything else. So.
Yeah. And again, you can find out where there were some changes in probably not a ton of significant changes in terms of, have you ever, they don't raise the speed limit very often. I would think.
And I was looking at all these different streets, and there is one where they actually increased it slightly, like by 5 miles an hour. But, you don't see, especially in our city, just because we're growing so fast and our streets are getting so busy that you see more reductions than increases. So.
All right, but
And you want to be aware too that school's back in session, so be very aware of the school zones.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, you can go find out the changes at hometownstation.com. You can see the LA County approved an agenda item in Castaic, Saugus, and Stevenson Ranch. You can see the limit changes there. Hometownstation.com. This is the Neighborhood Watch presented by All American Bail Bonds. We'll be right back after this.